Welcome to the DIY series, How to Build Your Food Truck with me, Frank Baltier's, where I show you step by step how you can build your own food truck from scratch. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you've been a fellow subscriber, thank you for subscribing, because I am taking a frequently asked question that I get dropped quite a bit in the comment section. I'm gonna answer it today, and I'm gonna give you a little bit of a bonus in there as well. But the frequently asked question comes in on the electrical side. It seems like a lot of people struggle on the electrical side. Maybe to me it comes as something that's really easy to understand because I've done it for many, many years. But for somebody novice or somebody new, maybe it takes a little bit more of a repetitive explanation, and that's exactly what I want to do today. So let's get started. Again, I'm Frank Baltier's, and let's roll into right here. This is part of the question that I get. I actually got it probably like a few hours ago, and it prompted me to do this video. Is on your panel, do you need a main breaker attached to it? That's an excellent question, actually, because there's no right or wrong. It all depends on your health or building inspectors on what they require, or like the city. They usually have a list. If you Google your city and usually you put in like mobile vendor rules or mobile vendors, they have like an itemized checklist of what they want exactly for you to get approved to sell in that city. So if you go from city to city to city, they all have different rules. So you just got to know where you're going to serve. Obviously know your area of business, unless you're doing like a catering, because typically that's somewhere where you just go privately and you can do your business there. But the difference between this panel right here and the main breaker one is that there would be a breaker right here. And the cable that runs from my generator plug in the front, and it goes underneath the trailer like this, and then it jumps right here, and then it goes all the way up and into the panel, that would go into the main breaker. Right now it goes to what they call a main lug. So there's no way to disconnect it from here to the breakers unless you detach it from the generator. That's the biggest difference, is more of a safety concern. When we do residential houses, if the service panel, which would be your generator plug, is more than 5 feet from the meter, the panel from the meter more than 5 feet, they require a service disconnect on the outside and on the inside. So that kind of puts it into perspective when you base it like on a house. If your meter's on one side of the house and your panel's on the other, they require 2 disconnects. On here, we're a little bit on the mobile vendor side, so they kind of have different rules for us. And obviously you learn as you go. There's a lot of ways, and maybe sometimes they change the rules for specific reasons. But that's that part there. The other one is, this is kind of like a bonus one, is do you run EMT on the outside of your trailer like this, or can you? And the answer is you can. And obviously this is kind of how it's going to look. You're going to have this running throughout your entire trailer. You can run it this way, that way. Obviously you got to make it look nice and pretty, so then that way it's nice bends if you need to bend the pipe, like a 90-degree bend. But that's kind of how that would look. That's not the route that I took, because I've shown you guys on the other videos what I use, which is this right here, which is Romex. Romex is what a lot of cities allow contractors to use, and a lot of new home builders, if you go to like maybe some rural areas, I know in Chicago they do not allow this, but if you go to like the city of St. Charles, which if you're in Illinois, it's west, maybe about 40 miles from downtown Chicago, they allow houses to be built out of Romex. And for the contractor and the builder, especially for the builder, it's a lot cheaper to do this than EMT. It's a lot more work for us as electricians, but for a builder, it saves them a heck of a lot of money. And you can run this freely behind the wall. That's why I know I can run this behind a wall and there's no issues, because they use these on houses. So I run it behind my plastic right here, which is this FRP, and I just kind of run it through a ridge, and I use it on the electrical switches and outlets. And I take my home runs and I run them through the ceiling, and I go up and over, and we're gonna come over to this side right here, right over here to where my outlet is. So here's what I use. I use 14.2 Romex, 14.2 because it can handle 15 amps of power. And I don't really use a lot of electricity when I'm doing my trailers. The only thing that I would say sucks up a lot of electricity is my food warmer and my fridge. That's typically what are my heavy energy suckers, energy vampires as I like to call them, typically is my food warmer. And what we have here, another part of the electrical, is the outlets. Don't get confused when you see outlets. This outlet right here, which is called a regular outlet, tamper resistant. Can you guys see that it has, I don't know if you guys can see that, but older outlets, they didn't have this white thing inside because you could stick a screwdriver in there. And then the newer ones, they have this called a Decora. So that's a Decora. This is called a Decora outlet. It's just a more of a fancier, more expensive type of outlet. And then this is a regular outlet. And then when it comes to switches, also don't get confused when you see switches. This one is a regular switch. It's a little bit dirty, so don't mind the dirtiness right there. And then this one is called a Decora switch. They basically do the same thing, just one looks better than the other. This is a little bit more expensive than this one. I always tell my customers when I'm doing work for them, use this one, even though it's gonna cost you another 50 cents more, right? Whoa. But you know, if you're a builder and you're doing thousands of houses, that's why they go with this. Typically in like the new houses that you see, like custom houses by like different builders, they use these because if you multiply 50 cents by hundreds of openings, it adds up to be quite a bit of money. And that's why they typically don't use these fancy ones right here, which is what I recommend. This one, you don't have to worry about it, but I know you're probably gonna see it somewhere. This is a dimmer, right? Dimmer. And they look exactly the same as you guys can see. So you might get confused, but the difference is this one has like a little bar on the right and the left that would dim your lights. So don't buy these. You really don't need to dim your lights in here unless you need to get in the mood or something like that. And then the other one right here, let me grab it real quick, sorry, is this. This is a GFCI outlet. If they require you to use it, because some cities will require you to use a GFCI outlet in a lot of these counter height outlets and switches, this is what you would use. It has kind of like your bathroom where it has your test and then the reset button. This is more like for places that have like water, or they use them in kitchens. Every kitchen, regardless of where it is, based on your counter, if you're on the other side of the let's say of the countertop where your microwave is, they still require you to have GFCI outlets. Some cities will require you to have this. Us, they do not. But one thing that you will need to have is this right here. Just watch out behind you. Is a deeper box. If you guys can see, this box is a little bit deeper than this one. And this is what you would need to have if you wanted to fit the GFCI in there. Because here, it wouldn't have enough space in the back to fit. I don't know if you guys can kind of see that difference in depth right here between this box and this box. It's about, I would say, a good 3/4, 1 inch difference. And that allows enough of a capacity. They call it a box capacity, because when you put a device in there, you want it to have enough room to quote unquote, let's say, breathe. That way it doesn't heat up inside the box. Again, that's kind of the tip of the day that I can give you. Thank you again for subscribing, for commenting, because I do answer each and every question that I see myself. And I take it kind of like as I see it come in more often. And electrical has been one of the biggest topics that you guys have questions on. So again, comment below any questions that you have. And also don't forget to drop in the city that you live in, because I am still trying to map something out for next year. And with your input, I can kind of plan that out for the new year coming up, 2023. I hope to see you all on the road. Again, Frank Baltieres on how to build your food truck from A to Z. Thank you for watching and subscribing.